Yo, what's up, everybody? How's everybody doing today? Hopefully alive and well. My shit too bright? Too bright? Is that better? I think that's better. Hope everyone is surviving another scary dump in the crypto markets. These things happen. If you're new here, get used to it. If you've been here a while, you are used to it. All right, we got awesome. Already 200 people chilling. That's great. What's up? What's up? Chris, Todd Grin, Chris, Jordan, Martin, Cameron, Edward, Cal, Gigapump. We need one of those. Ben W, George, Kyle, Wave, Cody. Awesome. All right, guys. What's up, everyone? What's up, Grant? What's up, Ahmed? Okay, cool. Man, you're glowing. You're glowing. Nice camera. Okay. Yeah, I've got like a new light. So if I'm too bright, tell me that. Tell me that. I can turn it down a little bit. Maybe make it a little less bright. Awesome. So, wow, here we are. Life goes on, right? You're staring down this big 30% red candle and you wonder if you're going to survive, and look at you. You woke up today. You're still alive. Hopefully you still got some money left. We live to fight another day. So, the main focus of these videos generally is to go over charts and kind of talk about setups and things like that, which we absolutely will do. But I really want to focus today on how to kind of, what happened last night, how you can better prepare to A, protect yourself, and B, take advantage of these types of opportunities. And more than anything, talk about just kind of what you can do as a trader to learn from something like this if you did get dinged, right? And some easy things you can do that are super simple to make sure that in the event of these types of candles, there will be more, you're not going to be sitting here taking a huge fucking fat drawdown, right? So I will go over the charts. We will cover the charts. But the start of the video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about risk management, how to take advantage of these dips, how you could have predicted this potentially, what you can do to protect yourself, some shit like that. So if you're not interested in that, by all means, you don't have to stick around. We will get to the charts. But I want to start with that first, because in a time like this, I know a lot of people are hurting. So I kind of want to talk about just some basic things that me, as someone who's been doing this for a long ass time and has eaten a lot of these moves, and even last night took a pretty big hit, can kind of pass on some wisdom, whatever the fuck you want to call it, to you, so you can kind of, know that you're not alone in this, right? Because it sucks, right? Especially when you don't have any friends in real life that do any sort of trading or anything. Like, who do you talk to about this? Being like, holy shit, I just saw my net worth fluctuate, 20%. What the fuck? We're going to get into that. So right before I start, obviously, shout out to Bybit. As you guys know, this is my new stream sponsor, so super stoked on working with Bybit. Great exchange. They are hooking it up, helping me put these on for you guys, so show them some love. There is a link in the description for a new competition that they have going on. So Bybit does a lot of these really cool trading competitions. I'm sure you've seen some of them before. Salsa, Jules, he participates in these and things like that, and other people, and who knows, maybe I'll fuck around and join this one with you guys. But it's a 7-day challenge. The registration is open from now until April 28th. Okay. And it's a trading challenge, right? So you have until April 28th to register. Registration's open now. You have till April 28th to register. And then the actual competition is going to be going on from May 5th to May 21st, okay? So it is a kind of like a 2-week contest. You have to have a minimum of zero point 0.1 BTC equity, I believe. 0.01 BTC equity, which is more money than you think now because of how high Bitcoin has gone, to play. And it's going to be based on P&L percentage. So it doesn't matter if you don't have a ton of money. You can still participate with 0.01 BTC. Highest BTC or highest percentage P&L at the end of the competition, you're entered to win some prizes. The prize pools are up to $400,000 US Tether, and you can trade any pair on Bybit. So there's a link to that in the description if you want to check that out. Fun little trading competition, way for you to maybe make some extra little money. You want to test your mettle against some other people on Twitter. I suggest you do so. So use the link. Use the link in the description to check that out. Mitch, I'm not taking my shirt off, bro. I'm sorry, dog. It's not summer yet. Once I get a little bit of a tan, maybe I'll take my shirt off. If I take my shirt off now, you think I'm bright now. Wait till I take my shirt off. I'm going to be blinding the entire fucking screen with how pasty I am. I live in Canada. So yeah, check that out. Shout out to Bybit. Obviously, everything we talk about here, not financial advice. As you can see, these are very volatile markets. So keep that in mind when you're trading. So, holy shit, big old dump, right? So these happen in the bull market. They suck. It's not fun, and it especially sucks if you aren't prepared. So what I want to talk about first is what I believe kind of happened here. I think something that you're going to see a lot of on Twitter today, and you guys know my kind of main goal always in these videos is to try and keep it as real as possible with you guys. I think a lot of people, talk a lot of shit on Twitter, me included. I talk a lot of shit on Twitter because it's Twitter, it's fun, whatever. But one of the things I think that is lacking on Twitter from a lot of people is just being real about not just losses and shit like that, but, being able to catch every move, right? Like, if you're on Twitter today, I'm pretty confident. I haven't spent a lot of time on Twitter today because I don't want to, right? I don't need to. I already know what people are saying, right? It's like, oh my God, how did you not see this dip coming? And then, oh my God, I bought the dip and I'm making so much money already. Haha, noobs on leverage are getting fucking owned. And like, that's fun. And it's fun to shit on people sometimes. It's fun to flex. Don't get me wrong. I'm on there flexing the P&L every once in a while. But for most of you, right, this might be your first bull run. This might be your first instance of dealing with a major dip. And some, fucking talking head on Twitter telling you that you fucking suck because you're using leverage and you got fucking owned. That doesn't help you at all. It may be true, but it doesn't help you improve as a trader, right? And so as someone who's kind of been through the fucking mud and eaten a lot of shit and made a lot of mistakes even to this day, I'm just going to kind of be real with you. So what happened last night, you can try and peg a narrative to it, right? You can be like, okay, well, there's that strange U.S. Treasury money laundering story that came out on a Saturday, which is kind of weird, right? Some miners went offline in China or something because of some flooding. Exchange outflows and inflows and the Coinbase IPO listing and blah, blah, blah. Jake Paul knocking out Ben Askren in like fucking a minute. Maybe that's the reason we fucking dumped. All that stuff is fine and dandy in hindsight. First of all, I have some questions about that fucking fight because like I've seen Ben Askren get dropped on his head and then pummeled in the face by Robbie Lawler like repeatedly for 30 seconds, get up and then win the fight. So I don't know, I thought that was a little weird, but neither here nor there. No one knows for sure why we dumped, right? Absolutely, there was clues in price, and you probably could have gotten short, and I know some people did short, and it's like, kudos to you, here's a fucking cookie. But it's always after the fact that people are going to be like, well, here's why we dumped, and blah, blah, blah. It was so obvious in hindsight. It's like, okay, well, where was that fucking tweet an hour ago before it dumped when I actually needed it? You know what I mean? So to me, that information is almost useless, right? Like, I don't care why we dumped because it's already happened, right? How can I prepare myself better for next time? Because the last thing you need when you're down is to get fucking shit on by a bunch of people being like, well, you're an idiot if you didn't see this coming. It was so obvious. Because if it was so obvious, everyone would have fucking shorted it, wouldn't they? So I don't think it was as obvious as people are making it seem. Obviously, there's some great traders on Twitter who, nailed this move. But it is what it is. It's happened now. I don't care why it happened. The bottom line is to me, the people who got wrecked the hardest on this and who need to hear this the most are the people who are using too much leverage. This dump on its own, obviously, was a decent dump, but the large kind of acceleration that we see, when we see this kind of shit, this is largely driven by liquidations of leveraged traders. So you have traders who are using exchanges and using, way too much fucking leverage. There's nothing wrong with leverage, right? But the problem is people are using leverage as a means to trade more than they have, as opposed to what it should be used for. Leverage should be used for two main reasons. One is for an easier allocation of your capital, the ability to better allocate your capital. So if you want to open a Bitcoin trade and an Ethereum trade or whatever, you can do that. And for reducing counterparty risk, right? So capital efficiency, right? Being able to do more with less. And for eliminating counterparty risk, meaning I don't have to have 10 Bitcoin on an exchange to open up a 10 Bitcoin position. I can have 5 Bitcoin on that exchange and open up a 10 Bitcoin position with 2x leverage, right? Those are the two main reasons to use leverage. You should not be using leverage to trade more money than you have. And that's the problem. And that's who gets fucked on these types of moves, is you're in $1 million worth of long exposure on an account that has 150 grand in it. Because now you're using 10, 15x leverage, you're getting up there. And if you have an event like this, all of a sudden your liquidation price went from not applicable to really fucking close to boom, you're fucking licked and you don't even know what happened. We had like almost $10 billion of liquidations happen last night, and over 1 million traders liquidated. That is fucking insane. This is one of the biggest liquidations events I think we've seen since the March crash. So the people who got hurt on this are the people who are using extremely high amounts of leverage. They're using leverage improperly, because if you think about it, I mean, obviously Bitcoin took a big hit, but like look at Ethereum, right? Like Ethereum is back right now, the day after, trading at prices from 5 days ago. Litecoin is trading at prices from fucking 5 days ago, right? So if you're in spot, from anywhere down here, right, you lost out on here, but you're basically back to where you were 5 days ago. Right? But the problem is if you were extremely leveraged long here, you got fucking ripped. So don't use leverage as a means to trade more than you have, right? That's the problem with a lot of new fucking traders, is they're going to be using leverage incorrectly. Leverage is a tool. I think these markets are volatile enough. We have 5, 10, 15, 20, 30% moves on coins almost every day right now. You don't need leverage. You don't need it at all. The market is volatile enough that you can trade purely spot and make crazy returns. If you're super keen on using leverage, you have to know what the fuck you're doing, right? So understand what leverage is, how's it work, and understand risk management as well, so you're not getting overexposed and you end up being one of those 1 million traders that got liquidated because you had too much exposure on. And once price started dropping, all of a sudden your collateral is losing value. Your liquidation price is rising as the market is dropping, and you get fucking dinged. Leverage should be used to make sure you don't have to keep as much money on an exchange, and so you can allocate your capital more efficiently. It is not used so you can trade $1 million position when you only own 100,000, right? You shouldn't be doing that, right? So if you're gonna use leverage, it should be low leverage, like 2, 3, maybe a max of 5x. Like 10, 20x leverage is crazy. It's crazy, and it doesn't seem crazy during this. But it's sure as fuck, that you can make all this money here and then you give it all back right here. So you had an entire month of killer trading absolutely wiped because you were over levered and, you were lucky here and you were buying dips in an uptrend, and then you get rinsed. That's what these do. They rinse out leverage traders, right? So, I'm not here to shit on you. I'm just here to tell you, right? Like, I know all these people on Twitter are going to be like, you fucking over leveraged ape. Take this as a lesson, right? If you got dinged because you were over leveraged, if you got ripped, crank it down, right? Don't use as much leverage. Go smaller position size, right? Or don't use leverage at all. It's not really necessary. Another thing, right, is I'm all for people being like, this was obvious, right? The coin listing was the top and da-da-da-da-da. At the end of the day, we're in an uptrend here, right? And so everyone's like, oh, all the dip buyers are getting punished. It's like, well, to be honest, right? Dip buyers have been doing pretty fucking well up until last night. You've basically been absolutely slaying it up until last night if you were just buying every dip. And my kind of thesis in a bull run is you long until you're wrong, right? So you long until you're wrong, and then when you're wrong, you get hit, and then you reassess, because in an uptrend, right, you're gonna get stopped. But the idea is that we're making, if we're in an uptrend, we're making higher highs and higher lows. So you win trade 1, win trade 2, win trade 3, and then you buy the dip on trade 4 and you lose. Well, you still hit 3 out of 4, right? And if you're aiming for asymmetric risk reward, i.e. a minimum of 2 to 1 per trade, things like that, it's not that big of a deal to lose on one trade. But the problem is people are buying all of these dips, right? Probably not taking profit when they should. Buying, and you're getting overexposed, and then you have no risk management plan as to where you're wrong and actually get out of these positions before one of these types of things happen. So, if you're going to use leverage, I don't, especially if you're new and you don't know what you're doing, I wouldn't use it. But if you are keen on using it, right, let's say you're buying the dips, and then you buy this dip, right? Where's your stop? You've got to have, a stop here or a stop here or somewhere where you are getting out of the trade and not eating this entire down move and running the risk of liquidating your account. You could have a big ass account, right? You could have $1 million account, but if you're in enough leveraged exposure here on a fucking 15-20% dip, you can get liquidated. Doesn't matter. It's not only tiny accounts that are getting liquidated who are using 100x. It's big accounts who are using 20x but are then opening multiple $1 million worth of positions, right? So you got to be smart. You got to use risk management. If you're going to use leverage, absolutely 100% you need to be using stops. And this is a perfect reason why, right? Because if you would have had your stops below here, you just saved yourself a whole lot of pain, right? Even on the hourly chart, right? You put your stop here, you're getting stopped out before this big candle. Maybe you get slipped a bit, but you're not eating this entire fucking thing, right? So you have to be careful. Obviously it sucks, but don't get discouraged. This needs to be a lesson. This doesn't need to be something where you're on Twitter and everyone is shitting on you for using leverage. Everyone's shitting on you because the dump was so obvious. Why weren't you short? And everyone is shitting on you because you didn't buy the dip. If you're down, you took a lick, it's okay. The key is you want to stay in the game, right? And you can't stay in the game if you get liquidated, right? Any shot that you take needs to be a flesh wound, right? If it's a kill shot, you're done, right? What if Bitcoin goes to 100K now and now you're out, right? That fucking sucks. But if you took a fucking 10-20% hit on your account, at least you're still alive. And you can get back in and you can make some of that money back. Because at the end of the day, it's just money. It's going to come. It's going to go in this game. And this is just a lesson. It's a tough one. It sucks losing, especially when you're on such a fucking, killer, move. But over the month of April, we saw a massive uptick in OI, and we saw a massive uptick in, which is a massive uptick in leverage traders being into the market. And we were creeping above all-time high. And unfortunately, a lot of people are going to get burned on these types of moves, and it sucks. But I think you need to take everything you see on Twitter with a grain of salt today. There's going to be a lot of people telling you, I told you so. There's going to be a lot of people telling you you're dumb for being in leverage. There's going to be a lot of people telling you that, it was so obvious. Why weren't you short? Blah, blah, blah. That doesn't help you at all, right? Try and learn from this. Crank down the leverage. Use stops. Take profit on the way up. If you're having a fucking great run, pay yourself something, because at the end of the day, the money means shit until it's in your fucking account as cash or as whatever you keep it in, Bitcoin, whatever, right? It means shit. UPNL is called unrealized profit and loss for a reason. It's unrealized. Until you realize those gains, they mean nothing. So try not to get too discouraged. This happens. This is part of the fucking game. And if a move like this is absolutely torture for you, and you're unfortunately, you see some stories about, I've got my DMs today are crazy. People telling me they lost it all the money that they had made over the last year. People telling me that, they're fucking, I don't want to see these types of messages. It makes me bummed, right? But it's, you want to stay in the game. And if you can't handle these types of moves and you're not prepared for these types of moves, this is a tough market to be a part of, right? So, Take it as a lesson. Don't over-lever yourself. Don't overexpose yourself. And at the end of the day, right, if you're longing until you're wrong, make sure you're using stops, right? I have no problem with buying the dip, because it works, right? But eventually it's going to dip, and then it's just going to keep on dipping, right? And that's what we saw here, right? Everyone probably was buying the dip here, and then just kept on dipping, right? Well, make sure you have a plan to get out. And that way you're not eating this entire fucking move, right? So it sucks. I know a lot of people lost money. I know a lot of people are hurting, but it's not like I'm not gonna say it's not your fault, but like, don't let people on Twitter shit on you about not playing this right. Most people had no idea this dump was coming. Go look on Twitter 2 days ago. Everyone was calling for $1 Doge, 70K Bitcoin, 3,000 ETH, 400 LTC, me included, right? And I still think we're going to those price points, but I'm going to say 95% of people were not positioned for this dump to happen. They were not, right? And if they were, they said it in advance. Most people are like, oh, after the fact, of course this was going to dump. Look at the Coinbase listing. There's very few accounts that before this dump happened actually were talking about the possibility of a major pullback. There are a few. Kudos to them, legends. But for the most part, people had no idea this was fucking coming. And I bet you even people who are talking shit lost a bunch of money. And that's part of the game, right? As long as you're making more than you're losing and that P&L is making higher lows, you're still winning, right? There's going to be down periods in the longer periods of up. It's just part of the game. So how do we protect ourselves? That's kind of what I covered, right? You take profits on the way up. You use stops. You have to use risk management. If you're in a leverage position here with no stop, that fucking sucks and you lost a lot of money. And don't use too much leverage. Use leverage for what it's meant to be used for. To better allocate your capital and to reduce counterparty risk. Do not use leverage to trade more money than you have. I've been there. I've had a small account and I've wanted to blow it up, right? And like 10x it, because I see all these people talking about making hundreds of thousands of dollars per trade. So you're like, well, if I go 100x, I can open up a huge position. Don't do that. It might work a couple times, but you are going to get fucked. Leverage is dangerous for most people and is not necessary in a market that is this volatile. Now, how do you take advantage of these types of moves? So unfortunately for me, I was on screen like 18 to 20 hours of every day of last week trading. And I had a killer week. I think on Friday I lost some money, but like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I absolutely smashed. Made a shit ton of money. And I was on screen like all fucking day, barely sleeping, because the market was super volatile and it was awesome and I was making a bunch of dough. But of course, last night, I'm like telling the girlfriend to come over. I'm like, oh, it's Saturday. What's the worst that can happen? I'll watch the Ben Askren, Jake Paul fight. I'll have a couple of drinks, have a little bit of a good time. And sure enough, we have, one of our once every couple of months big ass dumps. Luckily, I was not overexposed to leverage. I had a few leverage longs open. I was long Alpha. I was long Ethereum. I had some Litecoin positions open. I think I was long Link. But I had stops on all of them. Sometimes my stops were at break even or they were slightly below price. So I took a couple stop outs, no harm, no foul. Obviously, some spot positions, you have a big swing in your net worth because I own Bitcoin and I own Litecoin. But like I said, Litecoin is trading at 280. It was 280 5 days ago, right? So it's not the end of the world. But unfortunately, I did not do very much dip buying because I was not paying attention. I saw the market crashing and I'm hanging with my girlfriend. I'm drunk and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to mute my phone and just chill for the night because I could have come on my computer and tried to manically buy some dips and shit, but I didn't have a plan in place because I didn't anticipate this dump to happen. So I missed some dip buys. But for those of you that were on screen and were paying attention, there are opportunities to catch some really good dips on plays like this. And what you'll see is a lot of these coins that we covered last week, I had marked out daily demand. Right? And price was all like this. And it's like, well, this demand seems so far away. Well, this is what those stink bids are for because you get a big liquidation move like this and you get a huge wick. And then all of a sudden we're back here and you got filled way the fuck down here. And you're going to see a few of these alts that we had charted last week did exactly that. So that's kind of what you got to be doing in these instances. You need to be zooming out And you need to be looking for high time frame areas of support where price might come to, and then set some bids there. So generally what I do for these kind of dip buying opportunities is I'm looking no lower than the 12-hour or the daily. I'm not trying to buy the dip into some hourly level hoping that, you know, this one ends up holding, because in reality that hourly level is really part of this daily level, right? So that's going to be the best way you can take advantage of these situations. Obviously, if you shorted up here, fucking kudos to you, you're a fucking legend. But for the most part, I'm confident most people didn't short here. So what can you do? You can buy the dip. And so buying the dip, the way that I do it is I will generally look for either a 12-hour or daily demand zone or order block, whatever you want to call it, that has been untested, and I'll stick some stink bids there. Now you have to be careful, right? Because you could have used this one, right? And it went right through, right? Like it sliced right through there. So maybe you try and buy the dip here. You get stopped, right? Because you got to use stop still. But then you put another one here, right? There's your next daily demand. So this was untested daily demand on Bitcoin that came in, got wicked. Imagine getting filled there. So there's going to be opportunities where if you see price cascading down like this, zoom out, find some high time frame levels that have yet to be tested and put some bids there. Or at the very least, watch price when we get to those levels and see if you get any sort of a reaction, right? So if you're looking at this on the low time frame, I maybe wouldn't go quite to the 1 minute, but you had the move into the zone, you had a pullback and a higher low after making a higher high, right? So this is bullish market structure forming right at that level, right? So maybe you don't buy here, right? But if you bought here, that's pretty sick, right? So that's the other way that you can take advantage of these types of moves. Obviously, if you shorted, if you covered your ass, fucking fantastic. But it's looking at high time frame areas of demand, right, that have been untested, and seeing if price comes into there, right? So no one thought Ethereum was going to come back here. I don't think, right? Everyone thought Ethereum was going straight to fucking 3K. 4 days ago, everyone on the feed when we had this breakout said we're going to 4K. But if you would have had dip buys here, you know, you got rewarded handsomely. Same thing on Litecoin, right? Litecoin came a little bit deeper, but I mean, you could argue it was this one, or you could use this one. You got some pretty nice fills in here, you know? And I did this for a bunch of fucking coins. Like, you know, BNB came in, tested daily demand. Dash. Some of these got ripped. I haven't even traded any of these, really. OMG was one that worked great, right? So OMG, this is from last week's video. We were way up here, right? So we had broken out 30% to the upside, right? Well, who thought we were going to get filled here? Well, these are the instances where it pays to have a plan and have some of those stink bids at low levels, because you never know. What you don't want to do when you're buying these dips is going way too big on size, right? Because this could always keep dipping. Could always have bounced here and then it could rip down, or it could have, like this level, it could have flushed right through. So you don't want to go in there monstrous size, but this is kind of how you want to plan it, right? You want to zoom out, look for high time frame levels that haven't been tested yet previous to the last breakout, and set some orders there and see if you get some lucky fills, right? Because if you got filled on Bitcoin somewhere in this wick, you know, you're instantly up 10% on your entry. So we'll get into the charts now, but yeah, I just want to be like super clear with you guys. Like, don't fucking stress about this shit. Like, this is part of the game. If you lost some money, consider that tuition to the market. Most people were not prepared for this. Most people had no idea this was coming, regardless of what they tell you on Twitter. Unless they posted about it in advance and have the shorts and shit to prove it, most people are just blowing smoke out of their ass to look good. And everyone obviously longed the absolute pico bottom of the dip as well. Most of it is bullshit, right? At the end of the day, you need to focus on your P&L and your charts, and you just need to make sure that you're improving every single day, and you take opportunities like this as a lesson, right? So again, less leverage, take profits along the way, use fucking stops for fuck's sakes, and be ready to buy the dip at any point. This is a very volatile market. You got to be ready, because anything can fucking happen. So hopefully this was somewhat of a helpful kind of tirade for you guys. I'm going to get into the charts now. But we'll go over kind of some things that might have been clues that this dip is happening. We'll also talk about what I think is going to happen for the market next. I don't think the bull run is over, but this has been a major move, and it doesn't necessarily mean that the dip is done dipping. We could dip further. Lots of shit can happen. So we're going to talk about all that good stuff here in a bit. So I'm going to quickly just check the chat. And then we'll just get into the charts. If you guys have any questions, we'll answer those. But yeah, the focus of this stream, obviously, is just like, hey, you know what? This shit happens. Where do we go from here? How do I make sure I'm better prepared next time? So, key takeaways: less fucking leverage. Takeaway number 2: use fucking stops. Takeaway number 3: if you're killing it, buying every dip and it's working, take some profits. Don't size up on the way up. Take some fucking profits off the table. Make sure that you're paying yourself. And tip number 4, be ready for dips by looking at the high time frame, setting some alerts at key high time frame levels that you say, hey, this level is quite far away from price, but we're in crypto. 10, 20, 30% dips happen all the time. So you might as well have some alerts set to be prepared where if that dip does happen, you can take advantage. Key number 5, stay off of Twitter for times like these, or at least don't let it get to you, because I know mentally losing money is hard enough. It's even harder when you have a bunch of people on Twitter telling you that they fucking nailed it and you fucked up and you suck and they rock. It doesn't help. It's not going to make you a better trader, and most of those people are lying to you anyways. All right, so let's get into the charts here. Or into the chat, sorry, real quick. Let's get some. We got 400 people watching. Let's get some likes going. That'd be great. Kyle Lamb says, when up only appearance. I would love to go on up only. If they invited me, I would happily go chat with those guys. Okay. Haven't killed myself after yesterday's dump. Please don't kill yourself. It is just money. You can always make more of it. The bull run is not over. Your life is much more valuable than losing some money trading fucking crypto. I promise you. Respect the dump. Smash the likes. Thanks, bro. What's up, Grant? Man, you're going nice on the camera. That's good. BTC necked. It indeed did. Biscuit brains. I am a victim. We're all victims, right? We all got just fucking long dicked by Bitcoin last night. Yo Paul. Solana went crazy. We'll cover Solana because it went absolutely nuts. It fucking it did not respect the dip at all. Solana did not respect the dip. It fucking rocketed. I think it's already trading above where it was yesterday. Some of these alt BTC pairs look really fucking good, including FBTC. Which leads me to believe that we're going to have more upside coming soon. What's up, Abdul? What's up, James? What's up, Big Mizzy? I shorted 64500, not even kidding. Legendary. I hope you closed that. What's up, Q Core Crypto? Let's make some money indeed. What's up, Roman? What up, Chase? How you doing, homie? You're shining. Thanks. BB, are you about to rob a bank? Yeah, after last night's move, I need some fucking money. I'm about to go rob the bank. Gubalini. Okay. Love your mustache. Thank you. Yeah, fuck education. Just tell me what shitcoin to ape in so I can blame you when it omega nukes. Who cares about the charts? I just want you to post more neck memes. So a little bit of countervailing points there. What's up, Owl? 20%, you're optimistic. Hey, Goat Main. What's up, Edward? Promoting Bybit, but using the Bitfinex chart. The reason I have the Bitfinex chart up here is just because you get the full price history, right? I can go and see all the way back. That's the primary reason. Hot main summer. Yeah, maybe. I gotta get a tan before I start taking my shirt off. Your neck is thicker than my leg. You need to get in there and hit the gym. Start doing some fucking squats then, my boy. Keep it 100. What's your opinion on keeping stop losses on spot bags? Yeah, I mean, listen. A spot trade is still a trade, right? Unless you're in spot from way the fuck back here, right? It's still a trade. You're still entering a trade with an idea of where price is and where you think it's going. So absolutely, you have to have an invalidation in mind. Maybe you don't have like a preset order, But you still need to know where that idea is wrong. If I bought spot Litecoin at $320, where's that idea wrong? Is it wrong at fucking 300? Well, then I should have sold it by now, right? Because it's below there. So it's still a trade. Just because you're not using leverage, it doesn't mean you throw risk management out the window. You still need to know where you're targeting and where your fucking idea is invalidated. For the most part. I mean, obviously, if you're just buying and accumulating spot Bitcoin because you think we're going to 100K, great, do it. But what happens if we trade down to 30K, right? And then to 20K? Like, what if this is the top and we start a bear market and we're going to go all the way back to 20K? Are you going to hold that Bitcoin you bought at 10K all the way back down? Or do you have a plan, right? Just have a plan no matter what. I'm one of the only ones that show my losses. That's because I lose money all the time. It's part of trading. I have a sub 50% win rate and I still make money, right? So that's the beauty of risk management and asymmetric risk reward. I just showed my girlfriend your neck and she said, "Holy shit." Thank you. I don't know if that's a compliment or not, but I'll take it. Is she hot? Is she single? I'm just kidding. Wonder what hit Ben Askren the hardest, Logan Paul or this dildo? Probably both. I like cookies. Okay, cool. Solana hit all-time high. Okay, cool. So Maine is a real MVP. Learned so much from your vids, Twitter, Discord. Made over $250,000. Thanks, bro. I owe you a beer. You made $250,000. You owe me more than a beer, my friend. You owe me some fucking money. Hit that tip jar up, homie. Just kidding. Congratulations. That's awesome. The other point, if you aren't profitable trading spot, how the hell do you be profitable trading leverage? That's true. If you get liquidated, do you lose all your money? Or do you also need to pay it back? So the liquidation engine makes sure that your position is closed before you can go into any sort of negative. This is not like trading options where you can end up like going in and owing money at the end of it. But you'll lose depending on what type of leverage you're using, right? So if you're using cross margin, right, your whole account is put up as margin, cross leverage, excuse me. And so if you get liquidated, your entire account is liquidated. If you're using isolated leverage, in the position, you're putting up a set amount of margin, and if that position gets liquidated, that margin for that position is liquidated, not your entire account. But you'll never need to own money. You'll never need to own money. What do you do when stops get ran through? Well, if you have a stop in, it should get triggered. There are instances where it will get slipped and it might get triggered at a lower price than where you had set it. But I don't really know what you mean by that, ran through. You're Canadian. Yes, I am. I thought of leverage was irrelevant, but position sizing matters. So leverage is irrelevant in that people will say, what leverage do you use? They always ask me that. What leverage do you use? I make sure that no matter what I'm in, my position will never risk more than 2% of my account, right? That's what I do to trade. Leverage is irrelevant in that, like, if I tell you I use 3x leverage, that doesn't really mean anything to you, right? Like, there's no value in that to you. What matters is that I am risking no more than 1 to 5% on any given position. And that 1 to 5%, the amount of margin I need to put up or to have on hold to put up that position, that is what is determined by the amount of leverage that I'm using. But me just being like, I use 2x leverage, that doesn't fucking mean anything, right? I could use 2x leverage, but if I'm risking 50% of my account on one position, it doesn't really fucking matter, does it? I quit leverage, been so much happier since. There you go, bro. I shorted LTC and BNB, made it all back. Fucking legend. Is there a difference between holding and leverage trading? Yes, absolutely, right? Like holding Bitcoin to me is like you're long, right? But you're a believer in Bitcoin. You think it's gonna go up. You're investing, really. Leverage trading to me is for someone who is more actively trading. Besides Alex Becker, who predicted this, I don't know who Alex Becker is. So there you go. All right, I think this is I I don't think Alex Weiss is Canadian. Have you seen what he looks like? Um, cool. Okay. I'm just going to get to the charts now. This is a bunch of fucking posts in here. Cool. So let's go into the charts here. We're going to cover the big three: Bitcoin, Ethereum, and my baby Litecoin, which I'm still holding. And then we will look at some other altcoins. We can go over these ones from last week, or we can take some new requests, whatever you guys want to do. So looking at Bitcoin here, the weekly candle closes in about 48 minutes. So what is the most glaring thing I've seen on this chart with regards to the weekly candle? Well, it looks like fucking shit, and it's closing as a swing failure pattern. So what does that mean? It means the bull run is on hold for me technically until we break above here. And I know that's super far away, but for now, we have a major resistance that is formed here, right? And I know this is a huge area in price because this is the weekly chart, but quite simply, when we trade above this high on the weekly and close, we will have an explosive move to the upside. And this is the weekly chart. This can take a long time to play out, blah, 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 blah. The bottom line is this is a weekly swing failure pattern, right? So we have a weekly swing failure pattern. If we get a weekly break in market structure, right, which would be here, that would be quite bearish. Okay, because if we get a weekly break in market structure where we close a weekly candle below here, we've now swing failure pattern here, and we put in a lower low. So that would be quite bearish for me, and I would be looking to sell pullbacks for much lower prices, probably targeting, here, right? But until we get that kind of weekly break in market structure, I don't think we need to worry too much. I think it's more likely that we probably see some sort of ranging happen here. I don't think this is the type of move that is going to completely Dalai Lama and reverse, right? Like if you go and look at the March crash from a price action perspective, where the fuck are we? We got to go way back. This is why I'm using the Bitfinex chart, by the way. So if you look at this, right, and you compare this to where we are right now, on, let's say, the 5-minute, right? There's some similarities here. Do you not think? Right? Does this not look like this? Looks pretty fucking similar to me, right? So what do I mean by that? I don't think it's going to just go straight up, right? It might dick around and go sideways for a while, right? So we might see, here's what we can do. We can overlay this bottoming fractal. This is what Kaleo does very well, by the way. See if I can do this better. But you see how it looks very similar to this dump, right? Where we went sideways for a bit and then we slowly grinded our way up, kind of sideways and up, as opposed to just a complete V reversal. I don't expect a complete V reversal. I think something like this is much more realistic. So let's see if I can do the Kaleo. Bars pattern, is this it? Oh, come on, you piece of shit. See if we can do this from here to here. Control C. Okay, that works. So now we'll go up to where we are today, and we can overlay this. Are you shitting me? Oh, there it is. We can overlay this to here. Let's do, what do we do, 15-minute? Why you gotta be such a fuck? Can I change the size of it? There we go. Look at that. So I mean, that's the 3K bottom in March. Do you see the similarities here? Right? So we had the move here, huge dump, the big spike, the second test of the low, right? And then we had, you know, kind of just a slow grind up out. Not a V bottom, not a Dalai Lama, but a slow kind of grind. So we could see something very similar to this happen, right? And so within a few weeks, within, you know, maybe the end of this month to early April, March or May, excuse me, I don't know what day it is, obviously. You know, we could see price be trading back at 60K already. So I'm not expecting quite a V reversal, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see some sort of, you know, kind of slow grind, maybe one more test of the lows. You know, if you want to throw on a indicator, main using indicators, where would be the one I want? You know, if you're scalping this thing, you know, the first thing you want to see is a bullish divergence happening. Maybe even on, what time frame did I see this on? You want to see some sort of bullish divergence happening here at the lows. You haven't seen that yet, right? So we've got higher high, higher low here, higher high, higher low here. Oftentimes what you'll see at the bottom is some sort of big bullish divergence, and that'll be a good signal that you know, the low is in. Didn't even get one here, did we? Huh. So that showed you absolutely nothing. Excellent. Regardless, this looks very similar to that dump to me. So I'm not expecting a full V reversal. I think sideways is probably the most likely scenario, which, based on how some alt BTC pairs are holding up, could be a good thing. It means we could see some extended periods where alts can outperform Bitcoin, while Bitcoin is kind of just going sideways and dicking around. So looking at the weekly chart, we do have an SFP here. The other thing that I want to, you know, kind of make very clear is we obviously had slowing momentum here. So this would be a good explanation of RSI. So RSI is relative strength index, right? Basically, it's to me, it can be used as kind of like a momentum indicator, the strength of a move. And what you're seeing here, right, is a big downsloping RSI, right? Which means the strength of each of these moves is getting weaker, but in terms of price, we're seeing higher highs. So we're seeing lower highs in the RSI, higher highs in price. Generally, this would be called a bearish divergence, right? So this is a bearish divergence because we made higher highs here and lower highs here. I don't really need RSI to see that, because what I see here is I see a all-time high, and then I see a massive move up, and then I see another all-time high. Then I see a medium-sized move up, and then another all-time high, and then I see a smaller move up. So each move up is getting smaller and smaller, right? So momentum is slowing down. See if this is a good example. Right? So this is a good visualization of what the RSI is showing us here. Each subsequent all-time high has been less powerful, right? We've made a smaller move to establish that new all-time high, right? And so all that really means is that price is losing momentum, and we could be in for a period of correction until the RSI cools down and we have an opportunity for price to fucking chill the fuck out, reset, wipe out some leverage traders, and then continue on its trend. Unfortunately, these types of moves are necessary during a bull run to allow for price to have continued upside, because you cannot have a move that is just straight up vertical. It's unsustainable. Once you get too vertical, right, you get the big crash. So you need these moves where, yes, we're going up aggressively here, right? We're going up aggressively here. But you can see similar here, right? So we had huge move to all-time high, right? A smaller move, and then a smaller move, and then a big ass correction. And then look what happened. Then we had the juice to go up again, right? So maybe we're here, right? Maybe we're in an instance where we're going to have a big fucking 40% correction, and maybe this dump isn't over. But these are part of the market, part of the bull run, part of the uptrend are these periods where we have big pullbacks and big shakeouts. And it's a necessary evil. You cannot go up vertically, right? When price is going straight vertical with absolutely no pullbacks, that's usually the blow off the top phase. And so the fact that we're having this pullback here, I actually think is a good thing. And maybe it comes lower, but it just means that to me, there's going to be more upside because it's going to be a big shakeout and then it's going to be continuation. So looking at the weekly, I'm just going to do real quick top down here for you. So looking at the weekly, we have a weekly SFP. Unless some kind of miracle happens here within the next little bit, we are going to be closing this as a weekly swing failure pattern. Weekly market structure. So what is the low? Technically, this is weekly market structure here. I would pay attention to this low because if we close below this low, I think there's a good chance we run this low, but there is a chance that, we can trade down here and in between here. But if we close the weekly below here, I think there's a good chance that we run this low. This is the last low that made a higher high because this low made a swing failure pattern. So it's not an actual higher high because we didn't close above there. So this is kind of your weekly range. So until this low is lost on a weekly closing perspective, I don't think the bull run is over. Okay. If we are to lose this weekly market structure low, I think that would open the doors for a bigger correction, like way bigger than, what we just saw here. Like I'm talking fucking monster correction time, down into the 20 to 30K region. I don't think that's going to happen, but that is kind of my level of invalidation, and it's super far away from price, right? It's 43K. Keep in mind though, last night we dumped to 50K. It's only another 15% from there, right? 30% dumps can happen in a bull run. That's only 25% below where we are now. So this is kind of your weekly market structure that I'd be paying attention to here. This low and this high. Soon as we close through this high, we've made a higher high. If we close through this low, we've made a lower low. For now, what I would like to see play out is something like this. Right? So some sideways and then eventually a breakout to the upside. Maybe we have, another stab at the low, but eventually I think sideways, kind of similar to what we saw down here, right? Just a slow grind out of the bottom and then continuation to the upside. That's my ideal scenario. You got to be prepared for whatever. So from the weekly chart, there's your two key levels I'm watching. I'm watching 60. Let's just draw. Let's just do this. I'm watching that. So 61,699. This is on the Bitfinex chart, and I'm watching that. Okay. Another low I'm watching is this one to see if we get some sort of SFP the other way, right? So if that's your bearish SFP, did we run this low? No. That's your bearish swing failure pattern. This would be a bullish swing failure pattern, right? So if we have a move over here, but then close back above, that would be bullish, right? So those would be the kind of key levels I'm watching on the weekly. Market structure high, market structure low, swing failure pattern has happened, could play out further to the downside. And if we have a bullish swing failure pattern below this low, that might be a long opportunity. All right. Zooming in a little bit to the daily, let's go. So the daily, we actually broke market structure right here to the upside. So it's the opposite of the weekly. The weekly was an SFP, right? The daily closed through. So we did have a higher high on the daily, but we had a kind of bullish swing failure pattern here. So this could kind of be your bull thesis, I guess, is be like, hey, we've got a big swing failure pattern of this low, and we made a higher high here. To me right now, though, this looks like a deviation. And I wouldn't necessarily count on this low not getting closed through, maybe on the next daily candle or something like that. So I wouldn't rush into any positions here if you don't have confidence. Any sort of leverage trading or any sort of day trading, I think, should be done in terms of like scalps, low time frame shit. If you don't have a plan, if you don't know what you're looking for, keep shit short term, take profits, and just wait for there to be a clearer setup for you, right? Wait for market structure to play out a little bit more. I don't want to trade in a day where there's this big of a wick. Because yeah, we could do this, but it's also just as likely that we come down and fill in some of this wick before going up. So I'm not rushing into some sort of leverage trade at this point. There's no reason to, in my opinion. So daily market structure still intact technically. We've made a higher high here, and we have not closed below this low, but this is a low I would watch, right? This is a low I would watch. If we get a daily close through here, that would be a bearish break in market structure after a weekly swing failure pattern. That would not be a good look. So as much as I just want to buy the dip, this could be it, right? The dip could be over. Bitcoin does have a tendency to come and, kind of retest the lows. So we could still see another move down, but you have to be aware, right? If we lose this level on the daily, that's a daily market structure shift. Right? So it's something you've got to be aware of. We have not had a daily break in market structure in a long ass fucking time, right? None of these dips, right? There was your low, there's your high. This never came close to breaking daily market structure. Same thing here. This one came close, but it didn't. There's your market structure low, right? And then there's your high. So never broke market structure. This one is close. So if we break market structure here, that would be a reason to be cautious about just jumping into longs, expecting new highs. I'm not trying to be saying I'm bearish. I'm just saying be aware of what's going on in the chart right now. This was a big move, and we are on the precipice of potentially shifting some high time frame market structure. Wheelie market structure, quite far away. Daily market structure is not. This is the daily market structure level to watch. And if you zoom in one more time frame, right, on the H12, we broke market structure here on the H12, right? So something to consider, right? Could see something like this, right? I'm not saying that this low is going to go, but you just got to be aware. There are big breaks, on market structure on some high time frames. H4, obviously anything below the 12-hour. If the 12-hour broke, anything below also broke. I don't need to go that low. But the daily market structure, still intact. Weekly bullish market structure, still intact. So that's good news for the bulls. Just be aware that, we could break down further. This SFP, which is about to close in half an hour. What the fuck is that? Is something to watch, right? Because this could play out going much lower. It's not necessarily, over yet. Once this candle closes, we could see another candle of red. So just be careful. Don't jump into positions just assuming the bottom is in. I'm much more interested in trading once I know the bottom is in, as opposed to being like, obviously if you got some great buys down here, awesome. But when the bottom is in, we're going to see bullish market structure start to form on these higher time frames, right? So we're going to put in a low, right? And then we'll put in a high, right? And then we'll put in a higher low, right? And then a higher high. Then you have confirmation here, right? This is a buying opportunity. This is a buying opportunity. Down here, you're guessing. You don't know if this is the bottom. So patience, don't rush into positions. Daily market structure still intact, right? Weekly market structure still intact, but 12-hour and below all broke bearish. So anything below the daily is bearish market structure right now. And what do we know about trends is that they shift on the low time frame first, right? So if you look here, you had no sign that this dump was going to happen on the 12-hour. But if you look at the hourly before the dump, this is a downtrend formed on the hourly here. You had a high, a low, a lower high, a lower low, a lower high, a lower low, a lower high, a lower low, right? So the trend shifted on the hourly well before the H12 trend shifted, right? So that could be telling of what's to come for the higher time frame. So just be careful out there. We could come fill some of this wick in. Who fucking knows? But if you look here, this is a perfect example. How many people bought the dip here thinking that it was over? Right? February. Remember this dump? So we had the huge dump, big wick, and then the next few days, we traded down further. Right? So we could see that happen here. And then it recovers. So if you got some great dip buys, make sure you're taking some profits. You're trailing up your stops because the lower time frame market structure is bearish. Weekly swing failure pattern is gonna close in 29 minutes. And we could just be seeing the first day of this down move, right? There could be more to come. So just keep that in mind. All right, so F I'm going to cover next year, but hopefully that's pretty fucking straightforward. It's Kaleo. I think it's Kaleo. So could you explain what your side where invalidation levels? Jesus Christ, there's so many messages in here. I'm gonna do my best to get through the chat. I will go through LTC next. Kobe, a fool for saying he don't know who you are. Like, I'm pretty sure Kobe knows who I am. I've been around. There's comments on me commenting on Kobe's tweets from like 2014. Like, I've been around for a long time. What is your best recommendation for learning the skill? Crypto Cred has a great YouTube series on TA, how to learn to trade, all that kind of stuff. I'd check that out. Risk management video, obviously relevant. I'm profitable in spot, but not profitable in leverage. Should I just stop? I think you answered your own question. If you're making money doing one thing and losing money doing the other, you should probably focus on the thing that makes you money, right? If you're selling two products and one makes money and one just loses money, take the energy and resources you're putting into the losing product and put it into the winner. How to decide where your invalidations level are, right? So your invalidation needs to be based on TA, right? So if I'm buying this order block here on Ethereum, right, my stop needs to go below the order block. If I'm entering here, right, my stop needs to go below the order block, below the swing low, because if we trade down here, my idea is wrong, right? So if you longed, where's a good example where you get stopped? Okay, so if you longed here, thinking we're going to make a new all-time high, and you put your stop here, right? The reason my stop would be here is because if we make a lower low from market structure, right? If I think price is going to go up, and I put my stop here, right? Because if we come down here, now we've made a lower low, and price is likely to trade further down. So I want to get out, right? So that's where I'd put my stop there, right? So you have to put your stop where your trade idea is wrong. If you're in a long, what low needs to get invalidated for your idea to be wrong, right? So if you're trading this SFP, the idea is that price should not trade below this low. And so as long as it doesn't, your idea is right. So that's where your invalidation should be based on TA, market structure, where's your idea wrong? That's where your stop goes. And then once you know where your entry is and where your stop is, you use those two data points to determine how big your position is, right? To make sure that you're not risking too much of your account on a stop out. Why is Rune mooning so hard? I'm doing a video on Rune this week, so we'll talk about it. I'm bullish on Rune. Do you use a market stop or limit stop in your trade? I use a market stop on my trades. KuCoin leverage liquidations close late and you can owe money and they will freeze your withdrawals until you pay it back. Learned that last night. I'm sad boy, but still in the fight. Holy shit, I did not know that. So yeah, be fucking careful. You don't want to end up owing money to the exchange. From a high leverage perspective, where do you see the altcoin market going in the medium term? We're still in a bull market, so we should recover. I don't know why you mean, high level. I read that as leverage. Clearly, that's on my mind. I think we're still in a bull market. A lot of alt BTC pairs, right? Like FBTC looks fucking insane. So I don't think that the bull run is over when this looks like it's about to break out and make a higher high here, right? So this is our level from my last stream. I said we're struggling here. Boom, retest and go. So F is likely going to outperform Bitcoin here for the next a couple of weeks. I would not be surprised at all. This looks awesome. A Weiss is Canadian. There you go. I didn't know that. I thought he lived in like Thailand or something, and he's Asian, so I just assumed he was from Thailand. When do you place stink bids overnight? Otherwise, isn't it inefficient use of capital if it only occurs every 1 to 2 months? So again, it depends, right? Like on certain exchanges, right? I'm going to have stink bids on Ethereum, on fucking Bitcoin and stuff in preparation for, a dump. I have an account that I actively trade with, and then I have an account that is more like holding spot and just like buying high time frame dips. So I have 2 accounts where I can do that. On one account, I can have just like dip buys in place, and I'm just accumulating Bitcoin and Ethereum. And then I have another account that I'm more actively trading. And you don't know when it's going to happen. If it's going to happen overnight, if it's going to happen when you're at your desk, when you're not at your desk. So you need to obviously determine how much of your capital you are using, right? Like if you have 10 Bitcoin, I don't suggest using all 10 Bitcoin on your leverage trading account. I think that's risky as fuck, right? You should have a portion of that is long term, and then a portion of that you actively trade. This guy says, we have browns in Canada, racist. It sounds like you're the racist calling them browns. What the fuck? Coinbase thoughts, please. I don't really have any thoughts on Coinbase going public. I think overall it's bullish for the space. If that ends up marking the top for the market, it's kind of ironic. Kind of like when we had the CME futures launch last time at the top. And I'm pretty sure we have like the CME minis launching in a month. So I don't really have an opinion in terms of like, hey, this is the top signal, it's over or anything like that. Yeah, I think overall, especially long term, Coinbase going public is bullish for the space. A Weiss is Canadian, he said on stream. Okay, awesome, fellow Canadian. I guess he lives in Thailand, so he doesn't have to pay taxes. That probably makes sense. Algo, I can go over. If you have a bunch of positions open, do you still risk 2% on every one of them? In case we dip like today, you'll lose 14% on 17 positions open. You want to obviously make sure that you are not risking too much of your account at any given point. My maximum output at any given time on leverage trades, I want to keep under 10%. I never want to be in a situation where I'm so exposed where if I get stopped out on every trade, all of a sudden I'm down 20%. Like you said, if you're like, oh, I only risk 2% per trade, but you open 10 trades, well, if you get stopped out on everything, you're down 20, right? A lot of these markets are extremely correlated, and if you're in 10 different alts, you get stopped out on one, you might get stopped out on all of them, right? So there's no reason to be in that many trades. And you want to make sure that, yes, absolutely, if you're going to be in multiple trades, make sure you're doing less risk percentage on a per position basis. I try and risk no more than 1 to 5% on a trade, and at no point do I want to have any more than 10% of my total trading portfolio at risk if everything were to get stopped out. And 10% is even a lot. If you have a bunch of, have you seen what he looks like? No colored people in Canada. Why do you keep, like, what do you mean colored people? Like, you're trying to tell me I'm racist. You sound fucking weird saying colored people. Get the fuck out of here, MoMA. Is he an Eskimo? I don't know. Okay, I'm just going to get to the charts here because it just takes forever reading this fucking shit. So Ethereum's recovered fucking extremely strong. Why? Because FBTC looks like it's ready to make a new high. So wild prediction here. Ethereum is going to outperform Bitcoin for the next little while based on the FBTC chart. So Ethereum, the weekly chart, while it's ugly, it's not nearly as ugly as Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin, we had a clear SFP, we had a clear run of the high, whereas Ethereum looks more like we're trading like here, right? Or maybe here. But, this to me on Bitcoin is a much uglier chart than this weekly chart on Ethereum. So while we might trade down, this is still closing as a green weekly, and we had a clear market structure break, right? So this is probably going to be our new swing high here on Ethereum, depending on where next week's candle closes. But Ethereum looks much more bullish to me than Bitcoin. So to me, if you're trying to say, okay, what went on mute. I don't know how long I was on mute there for. I'm sorry. So I'll just quickly re-say what I said there. So I think Ethereum looks much more bullish than Bitcoin. So looking at the weekly chart on Ethereum, right? We've made a higher high on the weekly. There's your weekly market structure low. We're now making a new high, probably around here, I imagine, next week. We'll close somewhere here. That'd make a swing high. But the weekly market structure is bullish. Am I still muted? I unmuted it, guys. Hello. I'm back. Guys. Okay. Is it back? Jesus Christ. There's so many people. The sound got rugged. Exactly, Waro. Okay. I'll just start the Ethereum analysis from the top here. Ethereum is more bullish than Bitcoin. This chart is more bullish than Bitcoin, and the Ethereum BTC chart itself is bullish. Okay? So we had a breakout here on the weekly, bullish market structure on the weekly. We go down to the daily. Daily market structure looks much better in Bitcoin, right? So we have our daily high and we have our daily swing low is actually here. So this is the low that made the new high, right? This low made the high above this one. So we have bullish market structure. We closed well within this range, and we had a retest of this order block here. So to me, Ethereum looks pretty fucking good. Could we come lower? Maybe, but to me, for now, I think Ethereum looks better than Bitcoin from a high time frame perspective. So still bullish on Ethereum, and I think the FBTC chart will lend itself to the fact that Ethereum is going to outperform Bitcoin, I think, in the coming at least next few days into even next couple of weeks. So maybe we see some sideways on Bitcoin, and we see some up movement on ETH, which on the whole would be bullish for altcoins across the board, right? So big shakeout wick into daily demand, daily market structures holding. So I'm still bullish on ETH from a high time frame. We broke 12-hour market structure, so it is something to be aware of. We could come up here and then go down, but for now, I think I'm still liking Ethereum in this range to break out and to outperform Bitcoin because the FBTC chart looks super fucking bullish, right? So if we zoom out here, we made our low. I'm just going to take the fibs off now. They're not needed. We made our low here, right? And then we had a daily zone that I had marked last video that we have now flipped. So we had resistance, break above, close, retest. There's last night's wick, and this thing is pushing right back up. So, I mean, if I'm looking at FBTC here, I think it wants to go to here. That looks like the next draw on price for FBTC. So if FBTC is going to go here, FUSD, right? The USD pair is going to outperform Bitcoin in the coming days to weeks, okay? So super bullish on Ethereum BTC as long as it's trading above here. And as long as this is trading above here, I expect FUSD to trade above here and likely to outperform Bitcoin itself. So F was a good ass dip buy. If you got it, congrats. Maybe we get another down day, right? So like I mentioned, we could be back here in February where we see one big down move and then we see another, significant move down after, and the dump isn't over. Maybe that happens, but for now, daily market structures holding on BTC, daily market structures holding on ETH, and FBTC itself is curling up, and I think it looks okay. So not too concerned about FBTC at this point. Looks really bullish for me, which makes me bullish on Ethereum itself. Litecoin, my baby, I think is looking good still as well. So we'll look at the USD pair. The weekly on Litecoin obviously looks fucking insane, but we didn't swing failure pattern this level here, right? So we have a breakout on the weekly time frame on Litecoin here, and there's your weekly low. So we're going to be in the process of making a new weekly high here in the coming, next week when we see where that weekly candle closes. But again, similar to Ethereum, this is a breakout. This is an SFP. So as much as this candle looks like shit, this is a breakout on the weekly. This is a weekly swing failure pattern. So if I had to make a guess in terms of what I expect for the coming days to weeks, is sideways price action on Bitcoin, choppy price action on Bitcoin, and the potential for bullishness on altcoins in the face of that sideways/weak Bitcoin. And that's going to be reflected primarily not just in the altcoin USD charts, which have all been bullish, but the alt BTC charts being bullish, because that means altcoins are going to be outperforming Bitcoin itself, okay? So Litecoin made a higher high. Looking at the daily, we had a big shakeout here, right, into the daily demand. But we maintained market structure, right? So our daily market structure, similar to Ethereum, is here. And we had a big retracement into the range. Okay, once this candle closes, I think you look to buy the dip on these coins, right? If these coins give you a pullback, we come and retest these lows, I think you look to buy the dip. What you want to see on the low time frame, obviously, is a shift in market structure. So you're going to want to see LTC, for example, move above here, right? Because then if we move above here, we've made a higher high on the hourly, which tells me we'll go and make a new high here. But this looks fine to me relative to like Bitcoin. Looks much shittier because of the weekly, right? I think LTC and Ethereum look better than Bitcoin at this point. I think if you look at them on the high time frame, these look better than this. This looks like a deviation and a huge sell-off, whereas this looks like a clear higher high. This is not a deviation, right? This is not a deviation, in my opinion. So I'm still bullish on these coins, right? We came in, we retested this order block. Market structure is bullish. We had a big swing failure pattern here. So I'm still expecting Ethereum to go to 3,000, and I'm still expecting Litecoin to at the very least go to 400. And if you got a big dip buy here, that could be a massive move that you're catching, almost a 2x. So still looks good. And obviously the Bitcoin pair, right, finally broke out of this downtrend, right? And as you can see here, the weekly, what we'll want to see ideally is a close through here. It's going to be interesting. We've got the weekly closing in 10 minutes. I would like to see the weekly close through this level. So if we look at it on the lower time frame, I want to see the weekly close above where it is right now. If it does, that's a higher high on the weekly relative to this high. If we can close as a higher high on the weekly here on LTC BTC, I think we're good. And I think altcoins are going to hold up well and probably outperform Bitcoin for the near future. So high time frame kind of summary. Ideal thoughts are Bitcoin sideways choppy. Altcoins remain kind of neutral to bullish. So any altcoin that you're trading right now, you want to be focused on the Bitcoin chart, right? So if you look at Sol, which a bunch of people are talking about because it's already made a new all-time high, right? So let's look at this. So what dump, right? What dump? So you see how this is crazy. Where's the dump? Fucking right here. Absolute, kind of crazy Darth Maul candle and way new highs here. Like this is bullish as fuck. We ran this high, dumped, ran this low, and now we've made a new all-time high. This thing is up 30% today. Crazy. So this looks fucking great, but even more so, the Bitcoin pair is bullish as shit, right? So if the Bitcoin pair on the altcoin that you're trading is super fucking bullish, the USD pair is going to outperform Bitcoin, right? So this is super fucking bullish. No surprise, Sol USD is super fucking bullish. That's why I think ETH looks good, because if you look at this, this looks like it's about to break high. This looks kind of similar to Sol. Shakeout, and it's going to put in a big green candle here, right? Shakeout, big green candle coming. So any altcoins that you guys want to trade right now, you need to be looking at the Bitcoin pair and make sure that the Bitcoin pair looks bullish. And if it does, then fuck yeah, it's probably going to outperform Bitcoin itself, while Bitcoin probably chops around, goes sideways, and even potentially goes down. Which one of it will be more logical, trading with USD parameter or BTC parameter? So you want to trade whatever chart you're going to be fucking trading, right? And I know it sounds dumb, but if you're trading Sol for USD, right? Like, so you're either margin trading it or you're trading, or you're just buying spot with Tether, that's the chart you want to focus on, right? The USD chart. If you're trading Bitcoin for Sol, focus on the Bitcoin chart. So I know it sounds like overly simplified, but that it is what it is, right? If you're trading versus Bitcoin, focus on that chart. If you're trading versus USD, I think you should be aware of the Bitcoin chart, whether or not it's bullish. But at the end of the day, this is the chart you're trading, right? Not the Bitcoin chart. So you need to focus on this. But if this was bullish, but the Bitcoin chart was bearish, that means your money would have been better off in Bitcoin than it would have been in Sol itself. Dump it back to 29 and buy. I mean, listen, if it comes back to here, yeah, I think you probably buy. I don't know if it will, but if it does, it seems like a good buy. Re-say. So you're saying like Shakespeare, making up new words. Sounds good. Yes, I'm basically Shakespeare, bro. YFI, same as Sol. So yeah, right? This chart is bullish here. Breaking up. So I imagine YFI versus USD looks pretty good. Right? So a lot of these coins like have completely retraced and erased the dump already. How do you find those? You need to find the ones with bullish BTC charts. If you look at Dash, for example, this BTC chart, it's not bearish per se, right? But it still looks quite ugly. Dash USD looks kind of ugly. Whereas if you compare that to a Sol, it doesn't look as good. So these are all in a downtrend still. Or not in a downtrend, but these all didn't recover as hard. A lot of these things I drew up last stream played out pretty well. Move into there. Dot BTC on support. Need to see Dot move up here. Dot had an ugly ass fucking move. But you want to find the BTC charts that don't look so shitty, right? So there's going to be certain coins like YFI BTC where if the BTC chart looks really fucking good, Sol, the BTC chart looks really fucking good, the USD chart is going to look good. Radium, I don't think you can trade against BTC actually. Radium got fucking licked. So this thing took a pretty hard hit. I'd probably just play this as like a range. Did it run the low? No. IOTA. Yeah, right? So, I mean, some of these fucking look sick. What do you think IOTA USD looks like based on this? right? Look at how it's going to close the day green. So it did that whole dump and it's going to close the day green. And that's because IOTA BTC looks fucking awesome, right? What's another one? VET, someone said. There you go. VET BTC. Look at this analysis I did. Imagine if I would have bought it. VET BTC is literally making a new high right now. VET USD probably looks awesome. There you go. It's retraced the entire dump and it's going to close green. So a lot of these altcoins look good. And I think that's a good sign for Bitcoin or for the market as a whole. Whereas we may see some weakness and some sideways on Bitcoin, we could see some relative strength on some of these altcoins, which I think is great. You know, FTT, right? FTT barely dumped. FTT USD looks kind of ugly, but didn't dump nearly as hard. This is only down 2% today. It's not that bad. Whereas you have other coins that are down huge, right? Some coins like Algo, right? The BTC pair does not look great. The USD pair doesn't look great either. So there's going to be outliers in these situations. There's going to be some coins that outperform others, and it's your job as a trader to find those best opportunities. The one problem with crypto is there's so many fucking coins, right? So it's really hard to stay on top of things. So what can you do? You can create watch lists. I have all sorts of lists here that I go through and that I kind of check systematically, low caps, mid caps, high caps, and you want to try and find where there might be opportunities for you to make more money, to capture more volatility, whatever it may be. But the rule of thumb right now is if the alt BTC pair is bullish, the alt USD pair is going to outperform Bitcoin. And Bitcoin looks like it's probably going to go sideways at the very least, if not more down. So you want to find those alts that have very strong BTC pairs, as that's where you're going to want to be playing on the long side. Rune is a great example. Look at Rune BTC. Look at Rune USD. Doesn't even look like the dump happened, right? Because of how bullish the BTC chart is. Would have been nice to have some stink bids here, hey? You'd be up fucking 50% today. Do I see what Ren did? No, I did not. Ren Tether. Oh my god. Did this go to 0? What's the low here? It went to a penny. I mean, oh my god, imagine. Imagine if you had stink bids down here or something. I don't even know if this is real or not. I don't know. But imagine. Jesus Christ. What does the Ren BTC chart look like? This doesn't look nearly as bad. What the fuck happened here? I'd be very interested to know if that like actually happened. Yeah, I don't think it did. Ren USD. Like if you look at the USD, it only happened on the Tether chart. Like this got raped, but that's got to be a glitch. Right? It's got to be a glitch. XRP. Still trading here. So I thought maybe we might get a dip down here. It's looking pretty strong, right? So the BTC pair, I thought we might dip down here, get a fill, but it seems to be holding pretty strong, right? So it looks like it's trying to SR flip here. So if that's the case, if it does SR flip and we get a move up, I would expect the USD pair to go to $2. Right, so if you look at the USD pair, right, we came in just shy of some stink bids I had down here. Closed pretty fucking nice. Right, closing pretty nice. So, I mean, this looks still relatively good. BTC pair looks like it's held up pretty well. So I would be pretty bullish on XRP to continue going up. You know, there we have the daily close. So we just had a daily close, and a lot of shit is gonna. Everything looks green. Look, what dump? Everything's green. except for LTC, BTC, instantly down 3%. But did we get the weekly close I wanted? We did. So that's a higher high on LTC, BTC on the weekly, and that's what I was looking for. Weekly SFP is locked in on Bitcoin. Okay. But yeah, XRP, BTC looks good. Like this looks like it wants to go up. And if it does, the USD pair is going to go up. Thank you, Mr. 8. What are your thoughts on perps versus quarterlies? So first of all, there's some advantages you can catch, like Glimmery Coin and NIU. They posted some interesting things. Like during the dump, there was a period where the futures, I think it was the June futures maybe, or maybe it was even the December futures, were trading in backwardization, meaning they were trading below spot by like $10,000, and they long that. So let's say spot was at 55K, the June futures were at like 45K. That's like, I don't know if it would be called arbitrage, but that's an opportunity, right? Because obviously Bitcoin is going to be, that's going to correct itself. So he was able to long those futures at a huge discount. And then once that kind of premium vanished and they went back to trading in contango, meaning above spot, he was up huge, right? So there are advantages in situations where you can get in to some trades based on, backwardization, contango, and, the kind of the difference in price between the futures and the spot price. Like in a bull market, if the futures price is trading below spot, there's probably some asymmetry there for upside on the long side, and you're better off longing futures because you expect it to go back ahead, right? And you could maybe long futures and short the perps. The other thing you have to consider when trading futures is they obviously have an expiry date, right? So the June futures contract does have an end date built into it, whatever it is, June 30th or whatever. So you want to be aware of that. But with perpetuals, where there is no end date, to make up for that, they have funding that you have to pay, right? So that's another thing you have to take into account, is you have to pay funding when you're trading the perps. But there's definitely advantages if you're nimble to trading one versus the other. I'm not that big brained, I'll be completely honest with you. Like there's some guys like Glimmery Coin and NIU and other people who are taking advantage of those arbitrage opportunities, shorting perps, longing FUTs and shit like that. Hey, more power to you. That's not my game. I'm a bit more of a donkey, and I just draw boxes on charts and just buy and sell, and that's it. It works for me, right? But there are opportunities out there. But yeah, I saw the Soul dump yesterday and was too scared to buy. Woke up to a 40% candle. Fuck my life. It happens, man. Right? But you're scared, right? Why not buy small and put a stop in, right? Because the idea of the stop is exactly what the worst case scenario is. If I have a stop on, right, before I even enter the trade, I use the calculator on the exchange. I know exactly how much money I'll lose, give or take some slippage, right? Before I even enter the trade, right? So if I'm risking 2% on a $1,000 account, right, I know that at the very most, I'm losing $20, right? At the very most. So who cares? You enter, you put your stop on. At the very most, you lose $20. So having a plan and using proper risk management and actually using a stop, the worst case scenario before you even enter the trade, right? So that takes that emotion out of the decision-making process. Everyone talks about trading. You gotta be like a robot. You gotta be objective. You can't be emotional. You don't want to FOMO. Well, having a plan and using risk management helps with that, because you already know. I don't go into a trade saying, how much money can I make if I'm right? Right? I don't care. I mean, I care, but I want to go into the trade and say, how much money will I lose if I'm wrong? Right? Then that whole fear of getting fucked is gone. and you can think way more clearly. This is the worst case scenario, right? And then you let it ride. Yeah, there you go. So it didn't quite go to $1 or 1 cent on a bunch of stuff. Someone market sold 1 mil rent thinking there's liquidity in that second, and there wasn't. Yeah, that fucking sucks. Weekly close, yes. DeFi. So DeFi, I think I've talked about this before. Like, I think we're gonna see some money flow out of other alts back into DeFi, right? Like, we've seen a lot of dinosaur alts been popping and shit like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some money flow back into DeFi here. The DeFi perp looks bullish to me. I'd marked out this SR flip on the last stream, right? Boom, breakout, came back, retested demand, and closed okay. So this looks to be turning, right? So this as a whole, I think, is bullish for DeFi, right? If this is going to be bullish, it's bullish for DeFi as a whole. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some altcoins, some DeFi altcoins start to do well. You know, Sushi is on support here. Big run of the lows. Obviously want to see some strength. There's better coins out there. That bid didn't work, did it? There's better coins that have better looking charts than this right now. I mean, this is coming into support, right? But it's support that's been tested already, right? 1, 2, third test. So, you know, pretty clear invalidation here on Sushi, right? If you're bullish on this, you don't really want it going below this low, right? So you could argue that your invalidation is here for a push up. Because if it's going to bounce, it should bounce from here. If it goes below this low, probably goes at least to here, if not back into here. So pretty clear invalidation makes it an easy trade. Seen a lot of people message me about Neo. I mean, what's there to say? Look at this fucking perfect thing I drew out here. This monster fucking move. And I'm not even in it. I need to be way more on top of this kind of shit. Jesus. I think this is from last stream. Look at the date. Or this might have been 2 streams ago. Or one. This could have been last week when I drew this. I literally drew the exact situation that was going to happen. Breakout. Boom. It's exactly what happened. So this thing fucking flew. That sucks. I'm going to go clip that portion from my last video and tweet it as if I fucking called it. Because I did call it, but I didn't trade it, so it means fucking nothing. But yeah, I mean, this is literally like 100% candle in the last 7 days. So that's pretty looking pretty good and looking like we got a lot of room off the bottom that this thing can go. Obviously, it needs to make a higher high to here, but I think any sort of dip is for buying. That's super bullish. That is annoying as fuck that I did not play that. Look at that. Literally fucking huge fucking move. So, goddamn. And again, look at the dump. You don't even see it. Where was the dump? This is yesterday's candle. That's the dump that fucked everyone, and look where this thing fucking closed. Holy shit. So I wish I would have traded that. Another dino coin that I'd been watching was Dash, right? And I talked about it looking bullish, and we saw a big breakout here on the BTC pair, and as you can see, the USD pair had a big move up. Not looking as good as Neo, obviously, but this still has made a higher high here. So still bullish on Dash to trade higher. But yeah, Neo, holy crap. That is crazy. BNB looks like it's outperforming F. Well, you can actually chart that. So this chart says yes for now, right? So over the last several weeks, BNB has been outperforming ETH, right? So as long as this chart is going up, BNB is outperforming ETH. And what I mean by that is, let's see, from January 1 to the high, 1,800%. From January 1 to the high, 275%. And that difference in percentage is this fucking chart here. BNB, right, has outperformed ETH significantly since January. Let's see, January here, right? So there's your difference right there. The outperforming of BNB is in this chart itself. So as long as this chart remains bullish, BNB will continue to outperform ETH. Got to be a little wary here because it does look like we're kind of losing support. So maybe if this starts trending down, ETH is going to start outperforming BNB for a little while. Do you sell after the bull market is over or wait? I mean, ideally, I fucking sell before the bull market is over, right? I want to sell close to the top. I don't care if I sell the absolute top. I definitely don't want to be holding all my shit through the bear market. That would suck. We'll do a couple more requests here, guys. HTR. I don't trade on KuCoin, so... I don't even know when I drew this, but I mean, it looks okay. Just going sideways, right? So once this thing breaks out of $1.80, it can probably go for a run, but you know, since middle of March, it's essentially been going sideways, right? Views on Link seems bulletproof versus BTC. I mean, I kind of disagree. Link's kind of been doing shit. This is what I drew last time. You can see perfectly respecting my lines. Link needs to break above here, right? Because Link's outperformed Bitcoin forever. For literally 3 years, it's been outperforming Bitcoin. But now, since the start of, you know, kind of this crazy run, right? So in August to now, Bitcoin's been outperforming Link for the most part, right? If you've had your money in Link since middle of August, you've been outperformed by Bitcoin itself for the most part. So right now it's kind of going sideways. It broke a key level here. I'm not really interested in Link until it's above this area. Until then, probably just continues to go sideways, which is what I had drawn here. So it needs to come above this level to be outperforming Bitcoin, because then I think that will denote that the trend is shifting. Until then, Bitcoin's been outperforming it, and then, you know, kind of recently it's just been kind of 50-50. Doge, we can look at Doge. I mean, Doge has been just fucking a joke. It's been crazy. The amount of people I've had message me about Doge is nuts. But, you know, Doge looks okay, right? It held up really well during the dump. You know, I posted a Doge chart here before the dump, and it fucking still held support. So, you know, all things considered, Doge doesn't look that bad. Here's the problem with Doge, right? It's a complete meme coin. There's absolutely zero use case. I think there's like one wallet that holds like 20% of the supply. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, there's unlimited supply. Unlimited Doge can be minted. So it just kind of shows you that retail or whoever the fuck is buying this gives zero fucks about any sort of fundamentals behind a coin or any sort of tokenomics. Because you can literally print unlimited Doge and it's still fucking gone on one of the most insane runs. You know, Doge BTC, the chart is absurd. I never thought this would happen. For years, it's had these random little pumps, you know, and then complete retraces, and then we had this, and then I don't know who was expecting this, but if you called this, good for you. 7x versus Bitcoin in the month of April. The last 7 days, not even. Since April 11th to April 16th, we had a 6x versus Bitcoin, which is just fucking absurd. So, I mean, Doge is super volatile. It's not something I love to trade, but I did buy it before the dump, and it's one of the few positions I had that didn't get stopped out. So, because I had my stop below here. So I never got stopped out. I bought here. I posted it on Twitter. It came all the way down here. I never got stopped out. And I think I closed it here. There you go. Top 100 or top 50 wallets hold 60% of the supply. So there you go. Cornucopia says, I'm so worried about crypto. Will it ever come up? What the fuck are you talking about? We're at $56,000 for one Bitcoin. So I don't understand. People are we are up. We're up massive. We're up 20x in a year. So unless you bought yesterday, you're probably up. Dude, you're a legend. Thanks, bro. Nerv is a no-brainer. Almeida and Suzu. Yeah, I'm in Nerv. I own Nerv. Basically any sort of altcoin that is, backed between, by Almeida and Three Arrows Capital, you probably want to put some money in. They seem to do pretty well. So they announced that partnership there. It's also, I believe, the only bridge between Binance and the Binance Smart Chain. That's what they're working on. So pretty cool product. Obviously, awesome team. So yeah, I own Nerv. Bullish on Nerv. ETH going down again. I mean, I don't know. It's down $50 or something. It's not really moving. The new day just started. I don't know how to put a stop loss in. I just stay safe by buying strong coins. I absolutely suggest you figure out how to use stops, because if you don't know how to use stops and you don't understand risk management, you shouldn't be trading, right? You're gambling at that point. Okay. Nerv is NRV, Nerv Finance. Another YouTube saying was DeFi was going to have another leg up. Yeah, I agree. I think DeFi is probably going to have another leg up soon. So I'm bullish on DeFi. Obviously, the coin still has to look bullish. It's not just enough to say, hey, we're going up. You got to find a setup. Love the stream. Do you factor open interest and funding into your decision making? Yes, but it's not enough to make a decision, right? So it's not like every time open interest gets to a certain level or funding gets to a certain level that we're for sure going to dump. But it is a piece of confluence where if we're struggling to break a level, if we're breaking down, if we're putting in an SFP and the OI is high and funding is super high, it's probably a clue that a shakeout is coming. But the thing is funding has been super high for 2 weeks. And if you would have stayed out of any longs for the last 2 weeks, you missed out on a bunch of moves. So obviously something to keep in mind. Look at it. Definitely consider it, but it's not enough to just make a decision based on that alone. Hey, main, just tuning in. Thanks for all the content. Do you think the dump yesterday was just a stop run, high left stakeout? Yes, I do. It doesn't mean that we can't go lower, but I do think that this move that we're in, which could go further down, is nothing more than just a dip before continuation higher. I'm expecting new all-time highs across the board within the next month. So I'm still bullish. Can we go a little lower first? Sure, but I'm still bullish. Can I take a look at Win? Wink. Never heard of this coin. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what to make of this thing. It's like nothing here. I don't know. Looks like it had a huge pump and then it's cooling off. I don't know what this coin is, but it did absolutely nothing forever. Had a monstrous move off the bottom. I would say be careful. As long as it stays, above here, it's fine. But if it breaks below here, it's probably going to fully retrace the move. Yeah, I don't know. For it to continue to be bullish, I would want it to trade above there. So I would want to see it trade back above here to go up. This is fine, right? But if it loses this, I think it's going to go way back down to there. But I don't know what this coin is or what it does. I've never heard of it before. Based on the daily close, what are your current thoughts? I think probably some choppiness and sideways on Bitcoin. Ben Askren first, Jake Paul. I was disappointed that I watched all of that shit just to see Ben Askren get knocked out in like fucking a minute. And I was really hoping he was going to fucking knock out Jake Paul. Okay, guys. I'm going to wrap up the stream here. We're at 2 hours. So hopefully this was informative for you guys. If you tuned in late, I suggest you go watch the start of the stream. I covered, just some kind of thoughts on the dump and, what you can do to kind of prepare yourself and take advantage of these situations. At the end of the day, this is part of the game, right? This is the game that we play. It's high risk, high reward. Make sure you protect yourself. There should be no situation where you're getting liquidated, right? If you got liquidated, that means you had no fucking plan and you were risking too much on that trade. So you should not be in a situation where that's even possible, right? Use stops, right? Take profits. Don't use too much leverage, and absolutely don't get too down on yourself. It's just money. You can make more. And you need to learn from this. This is not a reason to just quit and say fuck it. Just understand that this is part of the game, and if you got hurt on this one, look at what you can do better for next time, because if this bull run is going to continue, there will be more dumps like this. This is part of price going up. It's not just up only. There's also some periods of down. So you need to be prepared for those fluctuations in price and make sure that at the very least you're not getting hurt, right? Just because you didn't buy the dip, that's fine. But what you don't want to do is getting absolutely ripped, on leverage, selling all your positions down here and just blowing up your account, because it takes, a while to build it up. You could have had a crazy month and then given it all back in one day, and you don't want to do that. So hopefully this was informative. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I have a new video that I'm working on Thorchain. So Rune, I'm working on a video. It's going to be a short form video. I think it's going to be really good. I'm looking forward to it. If you guys got any questions, let me know. You can join my Discord. The link is in the description of my Twitter. It's completely free. We've got an awesome community in there of traders, lots of educational content. So yeah, feel free to join the Discord. Come hang out with me. I'm in there every day chatting to people. Yeah, if you got any questions, like I said, let me know. Otherwise, stay safe out there. Don't rush into any positions right now. If you didn't buy the absolute bottom, let price action come to you. Let things get a little more clear before you jump in and risk your money. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.